Hi, welcome back to the dungeon. Today, Boss ME50 and a common problem that happens to them, and I'm hoping, you see I've taken it apart already, I'm hoping to show you how to sort it out. Now this does require a bit of skill, but it's not an impossible task. Now the common problem. The common problem is that when you are making adjustments to the it's the reverb, delay, reverb's up here somewhere. This is upside down. Anyway, there's a delay pot, which is VR5. That one I've already removed, and there's the other pot as well. And they actually are potentiometers. So one is for delay, one is for modulation. And this symptom that you find on the ME50 is that it's changing modulation and delay effects all on its own. And it's normally down to these two potentiometers. So sorry for the shaky video, I'm hand holding again. And this one I've already replaced. So I'm going to pull the knob away, and you can see a tiny little bit of copper sticking up there. And that is because the little rivet that holds this potentiometer together, which normally looks like this, I've had to take that apart to get to the pot. So this job has been done, and I have tested on the multimeter, and it appears to be working properly again. And what it needed was some serious cleaning on the inside. Now I don't know if the other potentiometer is going to have the same problem, but I suspect so, simply because they have the same behavior. And so we're going to give that a go. So because I'm hand holding and filming, I'm going to be doing this in snatches and explaining what I've done as I go along. So you can see I've already taken the board out of the chassis, and what you got to do is you got to actually loosen every screw you see, including the screws that hold that little black back panel on. You got to get those out. You got to get the screws out the bottom plate off, and then once you're out of there, you got to loosen the screws that go in these holes over here. There's 6 of them, and then there's 2 more screws. There's one that goes in this position here, and another one. Oh, I can't even find it. It's somewhere. There's a second screw in here somewhere. You've got to loosen that too. Pull the cables out, the little clips, the little wires. One goes to the expression pedal, one goes to the battery pack, and then the board will be free. And then you're going to have to desolder these resistors. This is VR5, and that is VR9. And you're going to get them out. Now I've used soldering braid. There it is over there. And then what I have over here is a bit of copper wire. This is a transformer wire. I think this is about 0.6 millimeters thick. And this I am using in the place of the rivets, and I'll show you how I do that as well. The other tool that will be very useful is one of these things. This is a fiberglass brush, cleaning brush. And I use that to clean the track of the potentiometer. And hopefully I'll be able to show you just how grubby they are and what makes them intermittent. So stand by, hold on, and I'll show you what's going on. Alright, so I've connected up the potentiometer to the middle contact wiper and the one end. And I've got the potentiometer turned to its minimum resistance position. So now you can see there's only 0.8 ohms. So as I move up to the first click, that's 3, 2.9. Now it goes up to 8, 13, 19, 25, 31, 37, 42, 48, 49, 50. So this potentiometer's linearity is in question. I'm now going to connect to the opposite side of this pot. You know, it's got 3 legs. I'll show that to you in a moment. So now I'm looking from the other side, where you can see that the resistance is kind of weird. Hang on now. I've just taken it off. I'm going to start again. This is kind of finicky work as the potentiometer is really small. And here we go, starting from one end, that's 4K. And as I turn, it doesn't change. I keep seeing 4K. And of course this isn't right. So there's issues inside of this potentiometer. It should smoothly run between 0 and 50k. And I had a similar problem with the other potentiometer. So now let's have a look. Let me reposition you. Alright, I've repositioned you, and now I'm going to show you exactly how to test these potentiometers. What you need is your multimeter, and then the probes need to connect between the center little connector. So I'm going to set one probe there, and then either side, and then run through the range. Now of course I'm doing this with two hands. I was using crocodile clips for this task earlier on, and that's the right way to do it. And once you've tested the one by holding like that and then turning through the entire range, checking that it goes smoothly between 0 and 50 kilo ohms, then you do the other side. And here's where the problem comes in. So I've now determined that this potentiometer is not behaving correctly. So the next step now is going to be to open it up and fix it. In order to do that, I've taking this pair of side cutters, electronic pliers, cutting pliers, and I've actually just damaged that little guy there. You need to watch your fingers when you do this task. But it can be done. You've got to basically cut off the head of this rivet. The side that's been peened over, you need to cut off. And normally just the little cutters are enough to do it. Once it's been sufficiently damaged, you can now go ahead around the other end, grab it, and just pull it out. It takes a bit of determination, but it's an easy task once you're doing it. And as I say that, it's giving me trouble. You could probably even just cut that with a really sharp blade. Just cut that part of it. Maybe try that on the other side and show you. Anyhow, I think I've gotten it loose enough. Yep, there she goes. So there you can see I've pulled the rivet out. Now I have to do the other side. There we go. My little electronic pliers are really sharp, so they can really get to the head of the rivet quite well. Get a good grab on it and pull it out. So there, I've pulled them out. You can see this back plate has come off, and then the two rivets are out free. So now you want to do this carefully so that you don't go breaking, because this plastic here is fairly brittle. And now we can get into the inside of this potentiometer. Together with it, so let me just get that right there. And now I can go ahead and pull out the different parts. So reassembly of this is a little bit, can be a little bit tricky. It's not too bad. I did on the other one without too much issues. I did, however, put this little wiper in wrong the last time, so there's a bit of a trick to that. Anyway, I'll pull that off. See, that comes apart. Set that aside. Because this is the guy that you want to work on. So now I've emptied out the little wiper here, and there's the thing that you want to give a clean on as well. So I use a bit of shop towel and a bit of alcohol. I got it in a spray, a bit of isopropyl alcohol, clean, let it melt off any, and just dissolve away any mess. And I like to give this thing a clean first, so that the little contacts here, I'll show them to you in a second. You can see those little contacts down below, they want to be nice and clean. And you see this is really small stuff. And then the next thing is this guy over here. Now this is pretty dirty, and you'll see that the interior of this potentiometer, the little track that it runs on. I'm just going to give it a clean with this cloth to get some of that goop out there. When you look at that little track, you can see that is pretty, well, it looks okay, but it's actually dirtier than you think. Can you see the little reflective, the more silver part of the track compared to the darker part? So now what's going on there is that this track has become oxidized. And now we want to clean it off and make sure that it makes proper contact all the way around. And the way that I've been doing it is using this guy over here. Now this is one of these fiberglass cleaning brushes, and I've got to tell you that this thing is really aggressive, so you want to be very careful about this. What you do is you extend it out a little bit, and then you spin it around inside here, and look at that. Can you see it's gone silver? It's gotten cleaner. Now the two contacts at the bottom also need to be that nice clean silver color, so it could take a couple of passes until it's looking properly clean. So what I do is I just supplement my cleaning brush with some more alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and I give that a good old clean out, and then I even give it a blast with the press there, try it close at hand, and now it looks like that. You can see that's way, oops, that's out of your picture. That's way cleaner than before, and that's what you're after. You could also give these little contacts a wipe with your brush as well. And I have to say, this is probably one of the best electronics tools that I've bought. Highly recommended. You've got to be gentle with it, be very gentle when you work with this, because it's super abrasive, but the results are brilliant. So now my potentiometer is cleaned. That's how quick it actually goes. And now it just falls to me to put the thing back together again and see if the repair work has taken effect. So now we come to the next phase, and that's the reassembly, and for that I'm using this wire. Now of course you can see it's not really straight, but that's not a big deal. I can just straighten it up with a bit of my little pliers here, so that I can get it good and straight. And I cut off just a suitable length. What's that? That's about 12, 13 millimeters, 14 millimeters long. And I turn it 90 degrees, and then I trim it just like that. And I want to make a second one that looks the same. So just trim that 90 degrees over there. Pull it nice and straight, and also same length again, just so that it's enough with a little bit of spare to pass through everything. And now comes the most painstaking part of the reassembly. And the way that you do this is you first put your little potentiometer back on, and the writing, the 50K writing, goes at the top. What is the top? It's the opposite of this little tab that sticks out over here. So the opposite end is the top. That's where the writing must be. In other words, the legs of the potentiometer must be at the little tab. Then the next thing to do is to turn this potentiometer, the shaft, so that it's at the 50% position, and that means that this flat is also where the tab and the legs are. Once that's done, you take the little wiper assembly and you put it back in, so that this little contact up at the top here is facing away from the legs at the highest position. So it's going to come in and look like that. Then you can be assured that the potentiometer wiper is not sitting at the 6 o'clock position, because that would really cause havoc with your pedal when you do this job, or with whatever other project you might be doing that requires this type of repair. Then the next thing is you take the little back plate, and I've got the writing so that again it shows upward and away from the leg. There it says Taiwan Alpha. I'll try and get the glare off there for you. Alright, so that's on. And finally, the little backing plate where again it says alpha, and I have it in the same orientation as the rest of the things. And now all I need to do is drop through the two little pins that I've made, my two new rivets, so to speak. Well, that's what they're going to be, except they work a little differently than a traditional type of rivet. Show that to you in a moment as well. So I pass those through, and you can see now at the bottom they actually stick out fairly well past what is necessary. So now I hope that this is still in view. I'm going to try to put it in a position where you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to grab this part, hold it tight, and then pull it tightly and bend it over so that it is kind of causing pressure and holding in position. And then I'll do the same on this side. You can see that if you don't have pressure, there's a gap there, so you want that pressure all the way across. And I have this sticking outward like so. Come on, yeah, like that. I don't know if you can see that now. I'm kind of working blind here. I'm not seeing what the camera is seeing. This is kind of important. So yeah, got to get it there, grab it, pull it really tight and bend it over. And already there is enough tension holding everything together just like that. Now the next step, you got to be pretty careful here, because you do want to just give it a little bit more pressure. So I do reach over now with my plier and just squeeze these two ends so that they kind of parallel, just to ensure that I've got just a little bit more pressure. You want to be careful there because you don't want to crack the body. And then you do the same on the other side. And I'm just sort of eyeballing it. Oh, it's almost out of the picture. I apologize for that. But I'm eyeballing it so that now when I try and turn these as well, they don't want to turn. They turn very reluctantly, which is great. That means they're kind of grabbing on as well as they can. This one's a bit loose. I'm going to just pinch it up again. Right. And now all that remains to be done is just to trim these off. I'm going to do that over my dustbin. So that now these are nicely in place. They're holding everything together. I can give them a final little squeeze here. And my potentiometer is being held together. So now all that remains to be done is I need to give it a little test. So let's see how it's looking. So I've got to put the knob on there, and I'm going to connect up my crocodile clips again. I'll show you how I did that. This time at least I'll show you how I did that. So I just want to splay the little legs apart so I don't get any short circuits. Not by much, because I don't want to break the legs off, but you do need to splay them out a little. And then just connect up the clips. There's one. And there's the second one. Being careful not to let them touch the other contacts of the pot. And then of course on the other end that goes to the leads of your multimeter. So that's being done as I speak to you, and then I'll move the camera again to the display, to the multimeter. So stand by. Alright, we're back at the multimeter. And now I'm going to turn the potentiometer. It's at its minimum position right now, and up we go. And that was perfect. Every click increased all the way up to maximum resistance. Now I'm switching the leads so that I'm looking from the other side of the potentiometer, back down. click, has an increase in resistance. That's looking great. So this can go back into the pedal. Alright, we're back at the board. I've inserted the potentiometer back into its position and I'm going to be soldering it on right now. Soldering, this is really an important task and should be done correctly. A good solder joint shouldn't take longer than about 3 seconds. You see how quick that went? That was not even, maybe 2 seconds. This one a bit longer, 3 seconds. You don't want to heat the joint faster than that. If it's taking you too long to get your soldered joint properly made, then probably you're running too cold. But when you're running at the right heat, you now want to limit the time that the joint is exposed to the heat. So you saw I did that soldered joint very quickly, and you end up with a very nice bright soldered joint. I'll zoom a bit for you so you can get a better look at it. So this is before the cleaning, of course, and if I do the cleaning of the joint, then you're going to see just how effective a good speedy solder joint is. So as I'm talking, I'm just looking for my cleaning brush so I can get on with the job. Here she comes. So a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of rubbing, and I know this is going to leave a bit of residue. I'm afraid this alcohol is not the best quality, but it does the job, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get to see just how nice and clean that solder joint turns out. Just as soon as I can get all the other residue off of it. There's a little bit left, but that's fine. So there you can see a nice clean solder joint, and by comparison, there's the other one. Let me do that. A little bit of alcohol, a little bit of elbow grease, and we want to get all that old flux off of there as best we can. Sometimes it's going to take more than one application of the alcohol, but it'll do the job, and yeah, life will be good. So that's already way better than it was before, and I'm going to give it a blast with my compressed air, so hang on a second. I figured I might as well now, I've cleaned off the board, so I might as well now just put the board back into the chassis. So it's upside down, as you can see. In she comes, and just align it with the little holes of the different screws, and then make sure all the potentiometers peep through the bottom nicely, and then you're golden, you're good to go. I'll probably just pop one screw in over here and turn it in, just so that it'll hold, keep things from popping out. There we go. Just one screw for now is fine, and I'll do the rest off camera. You'll see I'm going to do, and I'll count the screws for you once they're back. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8 screws through the board. Plug this guy back in. Don't forget to plug in the battery pack on this end as well. There. And now I'm going to do the back panel. I've already put the screws in. Just got to put the nuts and the washers for all the connectors. And I'm back, and all of the nuts for each pot has been put back. The only job left to do would be to put back all the knobs for the different controls. So that's next. I'll be doing that live for you. Just to give you something to watch. And then it'll be going upstairs to test it. Now I don't know if I'm going to film the testing of it, simply because upstairs, it's complicated, you know, family and all. But you can be sure that if this video finds its way onto YouTube, that the work was successful. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes. but I suspect that it's going to be fine. Just looking at the condition of the tracks of those potentiometers, that they were really dirty, and it's no surprise there that things wouldn't work correctly. And this has got a very interesting way of working, because it actually is looking at the resistance value of the potentiometer and using it as a switch position, or to represent a switch position. So it's some interesting stuff they've done there. This probably comes from the days before rotary encoders were a thing. Because it feels like a rotary encoder, but it's actually not. It's just a ratchet notch potentiometer. Which is kind of anyway, here I'm done here. If you don't see a test video, then thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the channel soon. And if you do see a test video, well, then enjoy the added bonus.